Yo, this is the Misguided Podcast. We intend to guide you to a better future. My name is Jawan. I'm sitting here with Michael Johnson, entrepreneur from San Leandro, and kind of all over the Bay, really.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Good. So for those that are joining in, this should be a familiar face.
Yes, sir.
Known this guy for a very long time, probably like over a decade now.
Over a decade now, for sure. Yeah.
We're old with babies now. So,
definitely.
Really cool stuff we'll get into in just a minute. But yeah, I'd like to start the show off with initially how we met.
Yeah.
So do you remember? Do you want to tell it?
You could tell it, man. Go ahead.
I don't remember the exact like event that we met at.
We met at Pride, bro.
Was it? Okay, it was Pride. Okay, I didn't know if we met up. I guess we went to Pride together though, right?
Nah. I went with Alex.
And then
that's when I met you, Luke, and your other homie. I don't remember his name.
Donovan. Yeah. Shout out to Donovan if you're watching, because that was like the most. First of all, that was like the most random meetup.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
Because that was our first time going to Pride. That was your first time. I don't know if it was Alex's first time.
Nah. That was Alex's like third, fourth time.
Yeah.
I was always like, why do people? I didn't know why straight people went to Pride. But then like it was hella fun though. It's funny every time I tell people that like that's how
they're like
me and my best homies met. They're like pause like but it's
funny because we had when me and Luke went, that was our first time.
Yeah.
And we brought a homie that we used to play against in college. So Donovan, the guy you met, he was a good friend that we just built over playing against each other.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. He was like, I'm visiting San Francisco. I think he literally came out to visit us.
Yeah.
And then that was just a cool way
to
mix.
I know what was hella cool about it too was like it was ironic because you and Alex are really childhood friends.
Yeah.
But y'all met, like y'all reconnected kind of like after that.
For sure. Yeah. So it was that's a fun story. But
that's dope.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and well, first, before we get into your story, this podcast owes some dues to Mike because we originally started the podcast together. March 2020.
Yes, sir.
Literally the first week of COVID, not the first day, but the first week.
Yeah, the first week. Yep. Met at Phil's Coffee.
Yep.
You know, talked about how we wanted to kind of get something started and wrapped it out and got rolling from there.
Do you remember kind of that like conversation of like what exactly we were trying to accomplish in the beginning, because it's kind of changed over time, but like what?
Yeah, I think in the beginning we just kind of wanted to build a platform to just kind of talk about, I mean, we really wanted to talk about the state of kind of the world at that time with, that's when like the Black Lives Matter protests were pretty much like at their peak. Obviously COVID shutting everything down. So I think we kind of just wanted to talk about business but we really wanted to talk a lot about the current events that were going on, and then a lot about music too. Like we really wanted to. I mean, we're still tough in music, but
we had a whole segment.
Yeah,
it was like
exactly.
like 30 minutes for a segment. Yeah. We had hella rappers come on. Shout out J-Sack.
Yeah, bro, I messed with J-Sack so tough. Yeah, like ever since that interview, like I love his music. Like we still we still follow each other on IG. Yeah, like I be tapping in. Like,
he's the homie. He's the homie. Really cool. He just dropped some dope stuff yesterday. I was in the car listening with my son.
For sure.
And I was telling him who he was. So shout out J-Sack.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've been listening to him since like 2013. So
Dang,
like it's been a while.
Definitely. But love the growth though. Like it's cool. It's hella cool seeing somebody like the way their progression in music like over a few years. Like he was always good, but it's just so much more polished now. So much it's just hella cool to see.
Yeah, for sure. So that would be kind of why we started the podcast, is to talk about the crazy world we were living in.
Yeah.
He would come over to we kind of built like a little studio in my office. He would come over like Sunday mornings and we would record. And it was really cool because we were in some businesses at that time, and kind of the purpose was like some businesses were doing really well and some were kind of struggling, right? A lot of people were wondering what's going to happen with Turo.
Definitely.
That was a very scary thing for people, and we had so many cars on the platform.
Yeah.
We were like,
especially that first week, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Even the first month when it's just like cancellation after cancellation. It's like, dang. I have and especially the way we start off the same way, which is like the way most people start off with doing Turo is like financing a bunch of cars, which I don't do anymore. We'll talk about later in the podcast.
Yeah.
But like, it's like, dang, I got all these car loans and I got all these cancellations. Like, how I'm about to make these car loan payments and stuff like that. Not just for this month, but for the rest of, the rest of the duration of it. Cause like we didn't know how long it was going to last, and it ended up lasting a long time.
Yeah, they said 2 weeks, and they said 2 months, and it was just kept going. But the really cool thing that we noticed after a couple months, maybe even a couple weeks, was Turo was extremely popular. Yeah,
definitely.
And reasons could be because everything else was shut down, public transportation, everything else. People still needed a car, right?
Yeah,
and so Turo actually blew up even more during COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
And then brought more hosts on because they were bored at home. Like, how can I make more money? And interest rates were super low.
Super low.
So you could go to the bank and get a car and your payment be hella low. Yeah. So it kind of did the reverse effect. And that's why we started the podcast, to just be like, this is what's happening in our business. Rather than tell you 5 years later, which we kind of talked about. We don't really like when entrepreneurs do that. But
exactly. That was a really cool thing that came out of the podcast. Another really cool thing that came out of doing it was like, I remember very vividly, like, the kind of the segments we were doing on like the EIDL loans,
like
the PPP loans, bro. Like, it's crazy how many people like would like ask about that stuff, and then like reached out after we did that episode too. So,
like the little quick segments where we even did like best business cards, or like those were cool. Yeah, I should be doing that probably now. Those are really cool.
Like, because that was like such a confusing time, and like I feel like we were able to give a lot of insight into that. Like at that time, for at least our community, which was cool.
Yeah.
So
that's true. We had some really good, like, I don't know how I got tapped into like the people, but like we had some really good guests, like the black homie who like was in jail and then was working for like President Obama and like all the big timers, like just we had some really big timers in the beginning, and it was all via Zoom. Now I don't even do Zoom.
No, we did so much Zoom back then. That's like, shout out to you for sure, man, because you brought in so many, like, still to this day, so many quality guests, like from like people that are well known in the community versus people who don't have huge names but that are offering a lot of knowledge.
For sure.
Like there was another guy that we brought on early that like I admired like what he was doing so much. The guy who was building the shipping container, like that shipping container community.
Bro,
like, man, like there were so many people that we brought in that were just like, man, just straight inspiration. Like, and like you always just had like a gift for finding these people, which is
it's crazy.
Which is hella cool.
I appreciate that. That's crazy because literally yesterday I was in the car and I was listening to music and I was like, and it's a popular rapper now. And I was like, dude, I've been knew about this rapper. Like, I was like, dude, I think I have a really good sense of like an A&R type of thing. Like
definitely.
Find rappers, to find like people that's like onto something. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it was just funny. I was like, damn, I could have had another world where I was like in the music as an AR. You know what I mean?
Hey, it still might be in the cards, man.
Still. We talked about it.
Exactly. You got a lot of time left on this earth.
Yeah,
so.
It's going to be Misguided Records. That's actually kind of fire. I need to write that down.
Write it down.
So just for everyone out there, the podcast did start in March 2020 in my office every Sunday morning. And now we do in-person interviews. We do more business oriented, like day in the life type of stuff. What I noticed on YouTube that was lacking a lot was kind of like the in-person, going to that person's workplace. Right. So if they own a t-shirt shop, now my goal is to go to that t-shirt shop, show me how everything works behind the admin desk. Like I want to see all transparency. I want to talk real transparent numbers. How much does the shop rent for? How much do you bring in? Like that's the stuff that's really missing in the community. And I wanted the Misguided to kind of transform into that.
Definitely.
So, but yeah, enough about us. Let's get into the story, because this guy has a really interesting one. And I think one of the reasons we even connected a decade ago, or over a decade ago, was because we have similar backgrounds and we have a similar mindset. And we're both just hustlers. Like it would be nice we just didn't sleep. So like, and still to this day. So I figured it would be cool to have you up here and kind of tell your story and bounce around maybe some businesses. We've got into business a lot together, and he's brought me on a lot of my entrepreneurial endeavors.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Tell me about where it all began. Where are you originally from?
Yeah.
Tell me about your childhood, etc.
Definitely. Well, I'm from originally, born and raised in the Bay Area. So from born in San Jose, grew up in the East Bay, Hayward, San Leandro area. Raised by my mom, who's mom's an immigrant. She's from Nigeria. My mom pretty much raised me. Taught me everything I know how to. That's where I get my my hard work ethic from. Hustling, just trying to make a better life for her and make her proud, pretty much. Grew up, my two sisters, mom raised us.
Older sisters?
Two older sisters, yeah. And always had like an entrepreneurial like mindset, from a young age.
What was your first story you remember kind of where you, like if you think back now?
Yeah, no, it's easy. First business was in like first grade, like me and a couple of my good friends, we would write comic books. And then we would sell them. We would sell them on the schoolyard at recess. We would sell them for like 50 cents.
Wait, that's kind of fire though.
Yeah.
Were they good comic books?
I thought they were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were.
Just pictures? Because you're in first grade. You can't even write a sentence yet.
Yeah, well, first grade, you could write good enough. Like, we really peaked in third grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was like full comic books.
Yeah, we peaked in third grade for sure. We probably did that from like up until like fourth or fifth.
Okay.
Yeah, because like then guys started moving away. Like it was four of us.
Okay.
Who started moving away, we stopped doing it. But
for
like
sure.
I always wanted to I always really wanted to draw, but like I'm not the best artist. So like I did most of the writing, and then like I had a friend that like one of the guys would do like more of the drawing and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we tried to do like little like, we were into anime. Dragon Ball Z was popular at the time, so we kind of tried to do like little spin-offs, like that type of stuff.
Did you like Dragon Ball Z or Pokemon more?
I liked them both a lot, but Dragon Ball Z more for sure.
Yeah.
Pokemon was just a little slow sometimes.
It was.
Yeah.
It's more story.
Yeah.
Rather, I guess Dragon Ball Z story. But Dragon Ball Z just had more fiery.
Definitely. It sucked watching Ash lose over and over again too. Like I think like 3 years ago was the first time he finally won. Like which was crazy, which is cool, but like it sucks to be a kid and like your hero just like losing over and over again. So like
for sure.
That kind of sucked too. But like whereas Dragon Ball Z, like Goku always came out on top.
Yeah. And Goku just looked cool. Like
exactly.
Ash just looked like a regular white guy.
Exactly. But that was like my first like business, like like learning how to like exchange money and stuff like that. And after that, like I didn't really do anything in like middle school, or like I didn't do any like real businesses in like middle school or anything. In high school,
you went to Bancroft Middle?
No, I went to Edendale.
Okay.
Yeah, went to Edendale. And then in high school, I didn't start doing any like real businesses in high school either. But one thing I did do was like I would flip lunches. So like I got
like from the cafeteria.
Yeah, but like I was low income, so we would have.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's crazy work.
Yeah, and back then, like in 07, like when it was like before like schools were like hella strict on like the health stuff. So we had a real Burger King at my high school. Shout out to San Lorenzo High School. We had a real Burger King, like Whoppers and fries.
That's kind of
like
crazy.
Soda. So like I got free lunch. I got it completely free, and I would sell it for like $10. Like I would do that like every day. Like I didn't really like eat fast food like that. Anyways.
So then what did you eat?
I would bring lunch from home. I would either bring lunch or I would wait until school was over
and then just go get something cheaper. Yeah. That's amazing, bro.
So I did that like consistently. I would do that, and then like when I was like 16, old enough to get my first car, I probably sold maybe like 3 or 4 cars when I was in high school. Like
wait, hold on, I never knew that.
Yeah, I didn't do it like as like okay, I'm gonna flip
like
cars,
now.
But like but I had a Saturn. And then my very first car was it was a Saturn. It was a stick shift. And like what's funny is I didn't know how to drive. I know how to drive the car, but it was like $800. And like my mom actually, she saw on the side of the road. She was like, "Oh, this car, it'll be a great first car for you." And like I had enough. I had $800. saved up. I was working at Togo's at the time. That was my first job.
Wow. Okay.
And so I had that much saved up, and like so I I had a meeting with the seller. He came to my house, and like as soon as I saw the stick, I was like, oh man, I can't do this. The guy was so eager for me to buy the car. He taught me how to drive stick on the spot. It took me like 30 minutes, learn how to drive stick, and then that's how I bought my first car. Yeah.
That's crazy.
But what was funny about that though, after I got that car, like there was still like I was still kind of rusty. Anybody who drives manual like will tell you like, you learn, but you're still kind of like learning like as you're.
Oh yeah. I still can't drive stick. Like I the last time I drove stick was like when I was 16. Man, I haven't touched it after because it's going away. So I'm like what
so it's fun. I'm like an expert now, but at that time I was still rusty. My first I went to take my wife, not Raina. I wanted to take her on a date. Like we were and like I literally stalled all the way. Like the date was cool, but then taking her back home, I stalled at every stop sign going back home. It was so embarrassing. After that, like I sold that car.
Obviously, she didn't run away. She probably laughed about it the whole time.
Yeah, we tell the story all the time. But I sold that car, bought a 1990 Toyota Celica, sold that car, bought a Chevy Cavalier, and then sold that. So like I flipped about
How much do you think you made total after three cars, like profit?
Total, maybe a couple thousand. I know I took a loss on one of them. Like the first one I took a little bit of a loss on, but yeah.
But you were only like 17?
Yeah, that's. But I've always been kind of a hustler and just like wanted to. Yeah, it's just been kind of ingrained in me. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And then always knew that like I wanted to start businesses in the future. You know, that was always the plan. I just didn't know exactly what. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs are like that too. Like that you don't want to work for somebody, or that's not your main goal. There's nothing wrong with working for. So there's nothing wrong with working a job. I would never put that out there. But that your end goal is to own something for yourself.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of us just don't know like what that is.
Yeah.
And I think that's what got me onto like Turo, onto Airbnb, just because like I feel like you just get in that. You get in that kind of like rabbit hole of like, dang, what can I do? How can I make money? And then you see all these things, and then like eventually it's like, all right, I got to start something. I can't just keep conceptualizing this, and I have to actually put it in. And like Turo was like a no brainer for me because my first like real job, I would say, like was I had an internship when I was my junior year in college at Enterprise, and I kind of learned all the ins and outs of being like a manager for a rental car company. And I always thought to myself like, man, it's not easy in any way, but it's simple. I was like, this is a simple business that I can start. And then for years I was like, how can I actually do this? And then I came across Turo, and it's like, oh man, you can really start your own rental car fleet without having to take on all the liability and risk of like starting your own full scale like company.
For sure.
So, it was as simple as buying a car, listing on the platform, and then waiting for bookings to come in.
For sure.
So
not as simple anymore. But before we get into that, let's get because we skipped a lot right there.
Nah, definitely.
So end of high school. Yeah. Obviously you knew you kind of wanted to be an entrepreneur, but you have a really cool college story too. So like coming out of high school, what made you choose San Jose State?
Man, San Jose State. I actually chose San Jose State. It was I really liked the campus, and I actually really I started off at San Jose State doing pre-nursing, which is
wait, what?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I thought it was business.
Well, I ended up
transferring to business.
Yeah, but I started off doing pre-nursing with San Jose State. Had all my prerequisites done. And then realized like I don't want to work at a hospital.
Dude, you'd be a good nurse though.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. And that smile, oh man, yeah, you kill it in the hospital.
Nah,
a little scrub. I could just picture it now.
Man, I feel like it's hella popular when you have immigrant parents, especially
for sure,
especially Nigerian parents, to be kind of pushed towards the medical field.
Was your mom mad when you?
Nah, my mom. She was mad when I quit my job to go. Like she didn't understand it. She was like, "Why don't you just keep working and doing this simultaneously?" Yeah. Definitely wasn't mad. But she never like pushed me super hard into like the medical field or being like a lawyer or anything that. But my sister, who's a doctor now, she always kind of like, I don't know, she kind of set the tone. And I'm like, man, my sister's a doctor. Yeah. So like
You done fucked it up for me. Come on, sis.
so like I wanted to like, you know, I kind of wanted to live up. Like I always like, and I still value education a lot. But like I always like, my older sister is a doctor. And then my other sister, who's also older than me, has her master's. Mm-hmm. So like, I feel like a schmuck. Like I have a bachelor's degree. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to like continue my education.
And they're like good school, like UCLA, right? Or USC?
She went to Cal Poly Pomona for her undergrad, and then she got her doctorate at I forget the name of the school. But it was in Utah though.
Okay. But they live in LA. One of them does, right?
She lives in SoCal, not in LA.
Oh, got you.
But yeah, she works at a very prestigious hospital, Loma Linda University, in Loma Linda, California. So
that's a really good area.
She's doing her thing. But yeah, so that's a big reason why like I was trying to get into the medical field. But yeah, I went to San Jose State. I was actually, San Jose. I was an athlete, a college athlete, just like yourself. Mm-hmm. So I was actually running track for the community college nearby, San Jose City College. Ran there for 2 years while I was taking classes at San Jose State, because San Jose State didn't have a track team. So like,
what?
Yeah, they didn't have a track team at that time. Yeah,
that's kind of crazy.
It's weird because of all the history there.
Yes,
they literally have 2 statues of the guys doing the Black Power salute. Yeah.
Were you the first? Like when you joined?
No. So after that, after the protests for the Olympics, the track program was suspended, and they didn't start the track program back up until I want to say 2022 maybe, or 2021. Yeah. So it's recent that the track program came back.
That is, I did not know that.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. Okay,
it's crazy.
You were running track for San Jose City.
Yeah, and to do that, I had to be enrolled at both schools. So I was actually taking a full units at City and State. And because I did that, I was like on track to graduate in like 3.5 years. Like I was on track to graduate like super fast. Because I was taking classes, you know, at both schools. Also allowed me to finish my prerequisites early. I ended up getting some scholarship offers outside, like after while I was running for San Jose City. So I transferred. I spent some time at Cal Poly Pomona. Mm-hmm. I only went there for a quarter, and then I ended up transferring back.
And why?
At that point, I realized that because I went only for sports. Like that's why I left, and like that quarter that I did away, I realized how much I missed it back home. You know, missed like mostly my girlfriend, which is my wife now at the time, my family, the school. Like I already had like so much put into the school as well. Like I said, I was about to graduate, and I kind of like threw off, you know, myself
just
off course a little bit just to go. Every athlete has an end point. Yeah. And like I kind of realized like I'm like I was a great athlete. Like I was fast, but like I wasn't Olympic fast. Yeah. I'm just doing this for another 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Like this is gonna end.
It's risk to reward kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Like I wasn't gonna.
Some people don't realize that. I realized that way too late. I didn't realize that till a day ago.
But that's real for a lot of people though. Right. Some dudes are out there, especially with the extra years that people got from COVID. There's dudes out there like 29 that still think they're gonna, you know.
Yeah, they got college people 29, 30. Yeah. Like, and it's just like, bro, you got a baby right now.
Exactly. One of the best classes I ever took in my life was sports psychology.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. That's why I got the Amor Fati on me.
Oh, for sure.
Well, actually, no, it was before this class, but sports psychology. Yeah. You know my thesis. You. Nah, I told you my thesis.
I think you did, but I don't know.
My thesis because I was a psychology major with a minor in Spanish, and my thesis was white men can't jump. And the school was like 99% white, and I was like the only black player on the team. And when I graduated, I had to present this kind of movie idea and statistics on like my teammates jumping versus me, and I think we had one other black person jumping, and it was just like a landslide, like Biebs. Oh, man, like crazy. We talked about it in the group chat like the other day, but his vertical is like one of the worst ever, and he was like our best player. So like it's just like hilarious. Yeah.
No, that's a crazy thesis to do.
Yeah, sports psychology was literally my favorite. My professor was white, and she loved the idea. She was like, I compared it to something else, and she was like, no, you got to go with this one.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
And plus, it's fun to write about.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? You have to write whatever, 100 and some pages.
Nah, definitely.
It's fun and read 10,000 books, but
definitely.
Yeah, no, it's that's funny. So college, you transferred back.
Yeah, transferred back. Ended up finishing. Yeah, I finished it.
Got your bachelor's. Yeah. And then you're working at Enterprise at this time when you transfer back?
Yeah, that's when
how'd you get that job?
So
because that's where I met you.
Yeah, so before I interned as like a actual management intern, I was working at Enterprise probably since like my freshman year as a driver. Like I would do that on weekends. I was a driver for basically the remarketing division. I would like drive checks back and forth to like I was a check runner. So like when they would buy cars, they would need somebody to like, because they would buy things so fast, so many different like car dealerships.
You ever slip a check in your pocket?
I mean, I wouldn't be able to do anything.
Statute of limitations is gone.
Nah, but yeah, and what a lot of people don't know is like Enterprise is the biggest used car dealer in the world. So they make the majority of their money off of their used car sales, not being a rental car company. So yeah, I would deliver checks between a bunch of different dealerships in the Bay Area and stuff, like after they would purchase cars and stuff.
Which one were you working at then?
It was in
when you got to a location.
It was in San Leandro. So it was like their holdings company. It wasn't like an actual like branch where you go and rent cars. It was like a back office with like
Got you. But then where'd you and Alex work at? Because didn't you move?
Yeah, we worked at the location on San Pablo.
That's okay.
In Berkeley.
Yep.
So that's when me and Alex became.
How'd you get that transfer? Was it a promotion?
That was because I already worked there as like an entry level employee. When I applied for the internship program. Somebody had recommended it to me. So when I applied for it, like it was kind of like it was really easy to get in because like I was already like working for the company.
Okay.
And so I applied for the internship, got it, and then worked it for started doing it my junior year, and then I worked it again my senior year summer. So I did the internship for 2 years. And then when I graduated, they really wanted me to come on full time and everything.
Okay.
I won like their intern of the year, like there for the summer program. Which looked really good on my resume. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
and that's probably helping you get the next job, which was at Coca-Cola, which I always forget that we worked there. Like just because we've done so much and like our history goes far back, I always forget like, oh shit, we worked together.
Yeah,
like we worked together a lot of different things. But
yeah, man.
So let's talk. So what made you even apply to Coca-Cola? How'd you see that opportunity?
For sure. So I had in one of my marketing classes, we had one of our our presenters. So my professor for this marketing class that I had, he actually worked for Target for like 25 years. He was a district manager at Target and then moonlighted as a adjunct college professor at night. So it was a night class, but he was a super dope guy. So he had a bunch of connections within like, the business world. And one of his good friends was a guy named his name was Bobby Brown. And he was a district manager for Coca-Cola. And like he would bring in a bunch of different presenters all the time to kind of give us as, college seniors and juniors, like ideas on what we wanted to do next, in the business world. Because, everybody there was getting a marketing or business degree, needed an entry level position when they were graduating. And this speaker really stuck out to me. One, because his name was Bobby Brown, which was, kind of cool. But
a lot of Michaels.
Mostly because he was like the only black speaker he brought in. So he was a black district manager for Coca-Cola. He had been there for at the time like 25 years. So me seeing this successful black man across from me, and like I said, it was a night class. So a lot of my peers were like in their sleep or like eating or
for
like
sure.
not hella paying attention. Like me, I'm locked in. I'm like, man, this brother's like really successful. Like this is one of the top corporations in the world, and like I thought it was cool. So after that class. I went up to him after, I got it. Like, he was like, I'm going to be here, after class. Like, if anybody wants to come up to me, get my business card, talk to me, whatever. A few people, went by guys' business cards, but like, I stayed after. I talked to him for like 30 minutes. And he was like, man, like, he saw a lot of potential in me. And he was like, man, I'm going to be real with you. Like, there's not a lot of black people, like, at Coca-Cola or account managers, which was like my entry level position that I ended up getting. And he was like, yeah, man, like I would love for you to come on and like I'd love to put in a good word for you, like and like like, you know how it is, man. Like, it's that's a cool, an amazing thing about our community. When we see, when we see another black man doing well, like, it excites us. When I see a young black man doing well, like, it's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, I was pushing my son the other day, like, around the block in Fremont, which is, like, predominantly, like, not black. And a dude honks at me from his car. 2 black dudes. They're like, "We see you, brother." You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how dope. It is. You know.
Well, it's like the black person head nod.
It's like the head nod. Like, you know, that head nod is the same in corporate. You feel me? Like,
very true.
At least it should be. It should be. And it is for the most part. You know, when we always want to see, like, we see ourselves in each other, and we want to see each other do good. Yeah. So that's how I felt about him. That's how he felt about me. And, I put in that application, I got in, and and that's how I started off my corporate career as an account manager. I got promoted after my first year. I did really well. And then I got promoted to a business development manager, and I did that for another 4 years at Coca-Cola. And I think my second year is when I kind of You were a BDL for BDM, yeah.
You're a BDM?
Or no, it wasn't BDL. Was the title? Yeah. For Coca-Cola.
For 4 years or 3 years, I guess.
3 years, yeah.
I swear, I thought you got promoted because I was there when you got promoted, and then I thought you were only there for like less than like a year, and then you were like, "I'm out."
Nah. I think I started that second year is when I started like getting like really heavy into this entrepreneurship journey, but I still kept my job for like another 3 years.
Yeah, because I was telling you to stay. I was on the stay side, and you were like, "Nah, I think." Yeah.
I know. I probably would have stayed if like me and you and like Josiah worked closer together, but we were all in like different divisions. If we all worked like I probably would have stayed for a minute. Yeah, man. We probably would have started our own little Coca-Cola podcast.
It was good. It was good money.
We probably still be there.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah.
So Coca-Cola, he's working at Coca-Cola. I was doing construction at the time for Luke's dad.
Which is crazy.
And I was there for exactly a year, and he had brought the opportunity up to me to like, during construction, I was like chasing other avenues, right? So
a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. I was at that time trying to be a cop. In like 7 different cities.
That's crazy. I haven't thought about that since like you told me that. Like,
I mean,
9 years ago. That's crazy.
And I was like actually almost a cop. Like signed conditional letters and was like in the process of like almost about to order uniforms and everything. And this was at the time of George Floyd. What was the one before that? A bunch, but Travis, and Mike Brown. Mike Brown, right? Forgive me for the names. I'm terrible with names, but and so I was like, I don't know if this is right for me. At that time, there was a lot of protests going on and everything, and the places I was applying to was like Long Beach. I was signed a letter, San Diego. Los Angeles, Fremont, California, San Francisco, and Oakland wanted me to join. And Mike brought this opportunity to me. I don't even know how you brought it to me or like how it popped up. I think one day he was just like, "Bro, there's a really good opportunity."
Yeah, I think there was just an opening, and I was like,
you should do it."
Yeah.
And I did it, and then I think I like put him down as a reference. Yeah. And then I got it pretty easily. And it was good pay. It was like, if not double than what I was making at the construction, and way less work, dude. Construction is very hard.
Yeah.
And it was just driving around to stores, like selling stuff and just managing the accounts. And so on my exact like year day for construction, I quit and went to Coca-Cola. And was there for 3 years, almost to the day again. And he had left. I think I stayed like a year after you left, potentially. Yeah. And while we're both working at Coca-Cola, that's when we started the entrepreneur stuff together. Turo, Airbnb, clothing, just anything we can kind of get our hands on. We started at our time at Coca-Cola, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I had got into Turo, and then after I did Turo for a little while, I know that I pretty much like always stayed in contact with you about everything I was doing because you had the same mindset. And then you got in shortly after I did, and then I know it took you a little while after that to get into Airbnb. Back then we were still doing Till Infinity. I know you're still doing Till Infinity, but we were Yeah, we were going to Melrose and doing stuff like that. But yeah, we just kind of went all in on everything. And
yeah, so like we can kind of like put it in a little box. So from what I remember collectively is we were both working. You were like trying to exit Coca-Cola because Turo was doing so well at that time.
Yeah.
And so I remember one day you were like, hey, bro, like he used to have a 2008 BMW two-door coupe.
Yeah. And really well for me on there.
Yeah. It went really well. And it was also like, I'm pretty sure that like the car had problems. It was 2008. So I think like it had like some issues. Like
there was a couple times where it had different issues that like I would have to like it was down for like weeks to a month,
but then it would be super reliable.
Yeah,
so it would just be like
exactly.
And it was a moneymaker because it was a super low payment.
Yeah, my payment was like $150 on that car.
It's crazy.
And it was making around like $1,100 a month, like consistently. 2008 BMW.
Yeah,
so, numbers that you can still do on Turo, honestly.
Yeah,
you can't put a car that old on there anymore.
No,
because of like the oldest car you put on now is 2013, but yeah.
So we're talking back to 2017.
That was 2017.
Yeah. Mind you, Turo had just came back to the Bay from New York after being sued. So they were sued in New York. They for a deadly car crash with a teenage girl, a different name. Then they switched.
Yeah, they were Relay Rides.
Then they switched their name to Turo. Came back here because I think they originally started here or something like that. Came back here, and then it was really picking up. And we were one of the first hosts in the Bay Area. Like, well, I guess Mike was, and then he brought me on. But still, at that point, the percentages were 90-10. Hosts get 90. Right.
Yeah. Well, they still have the 90-10 option.
They do.
They still have.
But it was like it was different. It was 90-10, and the hosts get whatever they want.
They had a lot more advantages.
Advantages, yes.
Like I don't. For that, I don't remember the exact. I know they still they had different tiers, and like you were definitely able to make more money.
Yeah.
Like,
and so essentially, but because there was no competition. Like COVID really put a lot of bad hosts on the platform. 2017, there was no competition. They were trying to relaunch again, but it was popular. Commercials, it was Super Bowl, whatever. Like it was popular. So getting booked all the time. And 2017 was after the 2015, 2016 kind of financial dip. 2017, everything was picking back up, more travel, people going down, taking convertibles, which is when you started getting into the convertibles.
Yeah, definitely.
And so essentially he brought the idea to me and was like, look how much I'm making with this 2008 BMW. And I was like, wait, what? And I was like, okay, let me add $1,000 on top of my my Coca-Cola check. Oh my God. Like I think at that time it was Coca-Cola check. They paid us a stipend for traveling, like for vehicle expense. Yeah. And then if I would have made
$1,000
bonuses.
Like, we didn't have any kids.
No kids. I was like, so at that time, if I could remember, it was like $6,000 to $8,000. Somewhere in that range is what you could be making as like a 23-year-old, 22 or whatever it was. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's fire. Let me do that. And I was living at my mom's in a bump bed. Like, I'm there.
Not too much overhead.
Literally. So I was like, all right, cool. Since he had been doing it for a month, not a month, months. Yeah. And I was like, can you come with me to pick up my first car? You remember where we went?
Was that the Oakland one?
Nah, we might have looked in Oakland. I think we even went down to Sac, but we went to San Jose, bro.
Oh, for sure.
We got, so I was like, all right, come pick me up. He drove me down to San Jose. We looked at a 2012 Ford Mustang convertible because he was like, look, the number one cars in the area is like convertibles right now. He was doing all his research. And so I was like, all right, we looked at it. I can't remember what I purchased that thing at. It's been too long, but maybe like 10,000, some 12,500. We purchased it. Interest rates were low. I think I got like 4.6 from Patelco, which was really cool. They had a pre-approval. So you could, he put me on game. He was like, get a pre-approval before we walk in there so that when we walk in there, they don't try to like finagle you and do all this. So Mike had the game on lock, which is really, really cool. Like he really is like the Turo guy. And so we walk in there, had the pre-approval, and I'm like, I forgot what they call it. It's like a cash bubbly. What is it? Cuddle program.
Yeah.
Cuddle program. I was like, I got the cash cuddle program.
Yeah, because they have that partnership with the dealership.
Yep.
So that way you can just like, it's seamless to
to
get
so
the
then all they do is whatever that pre-approval is, they type in the number and it immediately goes to Patelka and tells them to approve, and then I just get the car right then and there. They don't have to like do anything. And it was really cool. And so we got the car, drove that thing home, and because it was a convertible, I was making more than the 2008 coupe. I was making.
I remember you were killing it with that car, man. I was like, dang.
But then that's when you got like 15 convertibles. He was like, fuck that. So it was really cool to see us growing. And I think at that time, back in I had got it in 2018. He started in 2017. And I think I got my first car like January of 2018.
Yeah.
And I think I was making like 15 to like 2,700 with that convertible. That's one car.
Yeah.
And then he just got hella cars. Dude went from like one car to 12.
Man.
And then I went from like one car to 4. And I started doing other ways. I leased the Passat.
Yeah.
Then I met Lucia. We were already dating at that time in 2017. So then I had got her a Passat, or she had the Passat already. And I was like, let's throw it up on there. Let's throw it up. So at that time I had like 4 cars. Anyways, business went really well for a couple years.
Definitely.
Same time, this dude, entrepreneur spirit, think like literally, Turo was going so well, I think he was trying to figure out other ways to invest money.
Yeah.
And then you heard of Airbnb.
Yeah. Well,
Tell that.
Yeah, I knew about Airbnb before Turo, and that's what I wanted to get into, like, more so, because I thought the margins would be better. But I thought it would be a lot harder to get into Airbnb because I thought I had to own a house to be able to do that.
Yep.
So then once I found out I can get into Airbnb without owning a house, I can do it the rental arbitrage way, which is basically leasing an apartment or a house from a homeowner and then basically re-renting it out as yours on Airbnb. Obviously, you have to get permission to be able to do that. But once I figured out there was a method of doing that, I was like, oh, this is something I can get into. So yeah, probably about 6 months after I started Turo, I got my first Airbnb property and put it on Airbnb.
That was Hayward?
No, my first Airbnb was actually in San Jose.
Okay.
San Jose. And Airbnb, like once I started seeing the numbers for Airbnb, I was like, wow, this is really good. So then I started doing both of them at the same time. I think I opened up like 3 more Airbnbs that same year. And
that's one thing about Mike is like when he gets on and then he sees the number, this dude scales quickly. He's like Spider-Man, just like going right up the wall. Like he easily goes from 1 to like 3 to like 7, and then you're like, Jesus.
I'm all about like proof of concept. Like it's like once I see that an idea has a way to make money and I see the money from it, then my brain is like, okay, there's a lot of potential in it. Like I always tell people, like my first like Turo rental, like my actual net from my first Turo rental was like $30, and I did a whole bunch of like delivered it and like took up hell of my time, and it's like, man, like people around me were like, yeah, that's not really like worth it or anything, but I was like, no, but like I just made money independently, like on my own, like you know what I mean, like I just made money, like $30 is $30, you know what I mean. So I'm like, if I can figure out how to build a structure around this, like I can make real money doing this, and then I went from there. And that's why I love Turo so much, and like I'm always gonna be a big proponent for Turo, even though like they go through a lot of changes and a lot of like things that will like that we obviously don't like. But it got me my start, and like I feel like that's big for like
you always owe
a lot because like I said when we started this podcast, like when we started this episode, I mean like a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, they know they want to do something but don't know what it is. And like the Turo isn't the end all be all for me. It's definitely not for you either. For sure. Like there's so many other things we want to do, but it helped get us moving, you know what I mean? Like it helped start that entrepreneurial journey, and like it kind of helped branch off into a whole bunch of other things. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's what it did for me. So like
for sure.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I want to end on that point. Let's move to the Hella Misguided segment, if you remember.
For sure.
Same question to each entrepreneur, and that question is: if you were to write a letter to your 18-year-old self, what would a summary of that letter be?
Man, 18-year-old self. Summary. Shoot. the summary, it would basically be to not put too much pressure on myself. Like I probably tell myself that like you have a lot of time, so don't feel like you need to rush into things. I would tell myself to I would have told myself to probably to start reading more for sure, because reading is what really set me apart from like starting on being on this journey of entrepreneurship. I would basically tell myself because I would have loved if I would have got into all the things that I'm getting into like earlier,
yeah,
you know. So I would have the summary of it would just be to basically like expand my knowledge base earlier, you know, which is why I said reading more. Don't feel pressured, don't feel rushed. Just, you know, basically enjoy everything that you're doing right now, and don't be scared to explore other things, because like you definitely have time to explore other things, and like don't limit yourself.
For sure.
For sure. Yeah, I would definitely tell
What's
me.
your top favorite book in the world right now? It could change over time. So right now.
Yeah, man, that's that's funny.
That's funny.
That's funny. My favorite book, man. My favorite book of all time is a book called Slam by Walter D. Myers. It's a fictional book about like this high school kid playing basketball. Like, that's my favorite book.
That's cool. I like
easily.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say my most like.
No, I like that too. Yeah, I like that's really cool. That it's not even a business. Like that's really cool. Because one of my favorite books is True to the Game, which was like a thug book. Like, it was super like random. It was a jail book, and so I relate to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, let's get back into the Airbnb kind of transition, because then we still have some more to talk about a little bit after. So Airbnb was really cool because this dude was growing crazy. This was 2018, doing really well on Turo and still working at Coca-Cola. Yeah. And then he brought the idea of Airbnb once again to me and was like, look at the numbers, proof of concept. And I was like, oh shit. Okay, that's dope. And at that time, you know, you do have that, I have to own property, and we're not thinking about owning property. Bro, what? That was 2018. We should have been thinking about owning property. That's the reading at 18. Too. Yeah, for sure. Bro, at 28, oh man, yeah. So, I mean, I was thinking about...
It was very doable. Like,
bottles.
We could have figured it out.
Yeah. I was thinking about bottles and city nights at that time. But no, so definitely onto something. But so he brings it up to me, and at this time I can't remember. I was on like some chats, bro. I think like I don't remember what was popping back then, but like Discord, some random group Facebooks, and I meet this guy. And I want to see if you remember this. I meet this guy from LA, and he's a veteran, and I was telling him about what my friend is doing on Airbnb and how the numbers are working and everything. And we were just talking about money and stuff and just relating to business, and that's why I was brought up. And he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm actually about to move like out of my apartment in LA." And you remember?
Yeah. That's funny. You found that dude on Clubhouse.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Is Clubhouse still a thing?
It is. Well, now it's Twitter Spaces. Clubhouse is still a thing. They have two separate things now, but like a lot of people just go to Twitter Spaces because everyone's already on Twitter. All right, but Clubhouse is the thing. I knew it was Clubhouse. I did, but that was early, so that must have been like 2019.
Yeah, that was either right before COVID or like I remember.
It was right before. 2019 is when we got the LA property.
Yeah, for sure.
And so then, I'm like, I go to Mike and I'm like, look, this dude wants to rent his spot. It's 10 minutes from Disneyland. Yeah. 10 minutes. And you know, we have to talk about mistakes. That's the whole point of Misguided. And this was one of the mistakes we made early on in business, right? And so I'm like, all right, 10 minutes from Disneyland, like, dude, this thing is about to be booked. Insane. It was a rental arbrachage. I
think it was 10 minutes from Universal Studios.
Because it was... You might be right. You might be right. Studios, yep. Universal Studios. And then, anyways... So we're like, we pitched this idea to this veteran, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. And initially we were like, all right, we're going to go 50-50 on this. And then I think the guy like countered back and it ended up being like a 60-40 type of situation. Yeah. This was years ago, so I can't really remember, but I think it was 60-40. We're so eager to just expand at this time that we were like, all right, let's do it. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it's a no-brainer.
No-brainer. So we end up flying to LA.
Yeah.
And we get into LA and we set up the Airbnb in one day.
Yeah, we finished that in
one day. Yeah. We fly in the morning. I think we're done by 9 p.m.
Yep. And it was crazy because I thought that it was going to be a lot easier because he already had a lot of furniture.
But it was not the good furniture.
It was worse than starting with a blank canvas. Because I thought like, because when we start like, when I set up an Airbnb from nothing, like it's like I got to get all the furniture in there, the decor and all that stuff. And like I was like, man, it's gonna be easy.
Yeah.
But it was so much harder because this furniture was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like,
a single guy, veteran, like just it was not what we expected. But the cool thing about this guy's method in the beginning was he had like a list because he had already had an Airbnb. So he had a list of everything to order, go get. So we would go into Target, like, all right, cool, you go this aisle. Yeah. And we just had the list.
Yeah. Well, Raina made
Raina, yeah, shout out Raina. And so like we had the list and we could knock out the store runs, but it was we didn't account for taking down stuff or moving. Where are we going to put this ugly ass couch? Like, you know what I mean? Like he had no storage. So it's like, all right, what do we do? Anyways, we got this stuff set up. And I think we went back to our Airbnb somewhere else. We slept somewhere else. We get to the place and it's midnight. I think we went to dinner and we get and it's midnight and I'm tired. Yeah. Like I like to get my sleep. So does Mike, but Mike can sleep in random places. I can't. So Mike is up. And he's like, all right, I'm about to like list it. And he's like, I remember we're in this dark room and Mike's on his phone at midnight and he's listing a property and he goes, oh shit. You remember? Yeah. I said, what? My eyes are like halfway closed. Like, what? And he's like, we can't list it. Like Airbnb is restricting it or we have to follow these kind of rules. Yeah. You want to explain what the rules were?
Yeah. So basically Airbnb has... and they don't have these everywhere, but they for sure have it in LA. Yes. Like a strict ordinance where you can't do arbitrage under 30 days. You can't list on Airbnb under 30 days without. There's about 4 or 5 different documents that you have to get from the city, including authorization from the property owner.
Notarized.
And you have to register it with the city, which we didn't account for. So then, and we had already locked into this agreement. With the guy, so we basically
paid thousands of dollars for this stuff.
So our only option was to rent for 30 days or more. We couldn't rent short term, which is pretty much the point because you could make way more money renting short term. You can make way more money. Like it's easy math. You can make way more money renting $200 per night than people aren't gonna want to rent. Like for the month long, people aren't gonna want to rent. They're not gonna want to pay as much. Yeah. Because like at that point,
you just go get a rental.
I can just get an apartment. I can just get a short term lease on an apartment. Yeah. So that's philosophy. So we're like, dang, we have to rent this for over 30 days. That's our only option.
And we had a flight at 6 a.m. 8 a.m.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
We couldn't just be like, all right, we gotta like pack this up or like there was really no other option but to try it.
Exactly. And that was what's even like dumber about that mistake is that like I would always list a property on Airbnb before I even got into it to see how good it would do. I would make what's called a dummy listing or a fake listing.
He would.
I do that all the time, and I didn't do that for this one. We were just so eager to get into it.
Now we have never made that mistake again because we always list. Everywhere we try and do it, we list before just to see if there's any restrictions. And the crazy part about that was it's only LA. At that time, now it's a bunch of places.
Yeah, but a bunch of places
in 2019, at that time, it was very new. And if I remember correctly, that law was recently passed. It was either in summer of 2018 that they had passed that law or early 2019. So we had just missed it. Or it might have been 2017. We had just missed kind of the cutoff and it was super new. And that was hard. That was a mistake, but that
was tough.
Not necessarily misguided. I would just say we didn't take the precautionary steps that we would have taken.
Yeah, that we usually do. Yeah, we're just too eager to jump into it. Yeah.
And So we tried out the 30-day thing and above, and surprisingly, we had some bookings.
No, we had a lot of
we had a lot.
We had. Not only did we get a lot of bookings, like we were getting booked. Like the bookings were covering our overhead. Like, and we had some booked out like further on in the year.
Yeah.
So we could have I feel like we definitely could have stayed with it. It was the
60-40.
Yeah, our partner ended up like he after a few months felt like it wasn't worth it for him.
No, I think the math for us, it wasn't worth it because he said something, and then I was like, we didn't account for 3 partners. We only accounted for 2. And had we accounted for 3 partners on short term, it could have still worked.
Yeah,
like,
long term,
for sure.
the numbers
long term, it just didn't make it.
A lot. Yeah.
Because we were having to manage it. We didn't have anybody on the grounds at that time in LA. So it was kind of, it was just difficult. So lesson learned.
He had agreed originally to do like all the cleanings and stuff too, and then changed his mind.
Sure.
Like he didn't want to be hands on anymore, but still wanted like
the 40%. Very true.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So that was 2019. That was my first Airbnb. So I learned a lot. He was already kind of deep. He had a really successful Hayward one that was doing really well. And other ones as well. And then I started to kind of build out there with his guidance and everything. And you've had Airbnbs kind of all over in different countries. Tulum, Dubai, bro. He's had great ones in Florida. That was cool. Like near
Disney World.
About
8 minutes away.
He got me on to some in Austin, Texas, early on in the beginning through a community, and that was like my favorite Airbnb I've had. I had that thing for maybe 4 years. Recently, just let it go, and that community was great. It was a great vacation spot. So he's kind of been all over, and you kind of been like the pioneer for Turo. And Airbnb. I mean, this dude's literally, his face is on Turo. Like if you log into Turo app today, like as a new user, you're gonna see Michael Johnson and his smile. And I'm gonna put it up here so everyone sees.
Please do.
But
please do.
It's like, I'm pretty sure I saw him on like billboards when they like flash it, and it's crazy. And commercials. So like this dude is like the pioneer for Turo. So we have Turo Airbnb. We have Coca-Cola Enterprise, and anything we're missing before we get into this new.
Nah, man. I think that it's probably some little.
Clothing.
Bought a property, invested in some property, and
let's talk about that real quick. We still got 30 minutes, so let's talk about that real quick. One, I want to shout out to Mike because at this time, like I said, I was misguided in my early career. I thought I could still be a rapper. I could have, but I don't think I was willing to do what it took to necessarily be a rapper once I saw money coming in. Once you see like Coca-Cola, Turo, Airbnb money coming in, and you're like, wait, to be a rapper, I got to go to LA, sleep in my car, and do hella drugs and be in the studio all day. It's like, you
don't have to do
you
drugs,
don't hang out, whatever. But so
the drugs are definitely awesome.
I was doing music, like that was my passion at that time. Once I realized I wasn't going to the NBA, which I can still go now, but so then
that's the. As an entrepreneur, you have to be delusional. You got to be crazy. You got to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's coming out a little bit with the NBA.
I don't think I'm there. I'm in the pro-am at least.
Great player. Little too short.
Got you. So I'm doing music, and I'm like, all right, I want to start like another business. What else can add to the music? And I brought up clothing. And something that's always really stuck with me is that like music can last forever. Like I still listen to Tupac. You still listen to all these old school music. And the really cool thing is like music is universal. Yeah. Like it's literally the universal language. And so I was like, all right, well, how can I relate that to like the music? I'm a storyteller. So a lot of my music is just lyricism or storytelling, not really like club music. And so I came up with this logo. I had paid like a university student at like SF to design the logo. The idea looks like a J, so it kind of resembles my name. And then I brought the idea to Mike of like, look, we should just like start a clothing. Like, would you help invest in my clothing business for music? And then he was like, yeah. And like, no question. Like, it was like, no questions asked. And so, I officially started the LLC and all that crazy shit. And then we just like literally, I think once a month would go to LA to this big market called Melrose Trading Post. And it's like famous. Like you get like 5,000 to 10,000 people every Sunday. We met some fucking dope people. Yeah, like I gave Russell Westbrook a jersey. Like
that was cool.
Dude, every celeb goes to this place because it's a vintage spot and there's really cool things.
You're not gonna find you're not gonna buy something there and have other people wearing it pretty much.
Yeah,
they have so much stuff. And
so we would rent out a booth and go there and rent out some couple booths here, trap art and stuff like that. So that was
trap art was cool.
That was cool, right?
Yeah.
They still do that.
Still do that?
Yeah,
okay,
I know the person who runs it now.
That's cool.
I actually interviewed her on here, so
for sure.
But yeah, so we also got into that and stuff, and that was cool. And then there was another one too that we were about to talk about. It's clothing.
Yeah.
Oh, is there another?
We both invested in houses separately.
Yes. That's where we were going. Real estate. So then at that time, we're obviously getting smarter. We're meeting more people and connecting. And obviously, the two things in wealth is stocks and real estate. And so we had been experimenting with stocks already. Just go buy AMD here. We talked about it on the podcast and everything. Yeah. And at that time, I was like, well, the one thing we're missing here is real estate. You have Airbnbs, but you don't own them.
Yeah, I didn't own any of them.
Yeah. And it's like, you're only getting profit per month, but you're not getting appreciation. Yeah. And so I brought that up to him. And I was like, hey, man, I've been looking at Woodland in Sacramento near UC Davis for some property. We got enough saved. Let's split the pie and let's go put money on a down payment and invest it. And it's near a college. We have so many options. Woodland at this time for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath was like $250. If you remember, this was 2020.
Yeah,
maybe
end
of
2019. Yeah, I remember you looking there. I remember you were doing a lot of Vallejo though too.
I was trying. Yeah,
Vallejo was a big one.
It was Vallejo, Woodland, Sacramento, and Stockton, and I was like, Stockton's really about to blow up because everyone's getting pushed out of the Bay, and they got the black mayor, if you remember back then. Michael, his name is Michael. Anyways, I brought the idea up and was like, hey, let's go buy, and we brought it up to Luke as well.
Yeah.
And then one day, unfortunately, I get a random layoff from Coca-Cola. And I call up Mike and Luke, and I'm like, man, I know we were literally pre-approved, actively looking. Yeah. And I was like, I'm having a baby, or I had just had a baby. Yeah. I don't think I could give away my savings yet with the layoff. And they totally understood. I was like, you guys can still go purchase, and then if you want to take over.
And then we because we were so close to the finish line of the process.
Right there.
We didn't want to turn back, so we ended up getting a property in Stockton. That was the first property that I purchased. Same for Luke.
Let's talk numbers real quick. Well, do you remember what you purchased it at?
We purchased it for $270.
$270. I think it was a 3-bed, 2-bed.
3-bedroom.
3-bedroom, 2-bath, or 1?
3-bedroom, 1-bath. Yeah.
3-bedroom, 1-bath, Stockton.
Yep.
Okay. Area.
No. Terrible.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know if you want to say.
It was crazy. The area was so bad, but it's like when you turned into the what do you call it? Like the community. Mm-hmm. It was kind of nice. It was a little quiet. No, it was quiet, and there was a plant nursery right across. Yeah. But then as soon as you hit the street, it was like, dang, it was a really bad area.
Yeah. But, it's cool, but you still made a profit. Anyways, he was on Airbnb renting it out. If you mind sharing what type of numbers net you were making with that
net
Airbnb.
For Airbnb for the first year we were in. I would say if you average it out the first year, we probably consistently netted close to $2,000.
Yep.
Yeah, close to $2,000.
And his payment at that time, because he bought it when interest rates were super low, so his payment was slow.
Yeah.
So like even if it was a slow month in Stockton, you know, they're still cash flowing or have opportunity. So that was really cool.
Yeah, the payment was really low. It was like around like $1,700 a month or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
And that was, you bought that in 2020, right?
2020, yeah.
So they bought that in 2020. I bought mine in 2021. Just for reference, in Stockton as well, much better area because I learned from his mistake.
No,
definitely learned from.
That's what you're supposed to do, though.
Yeah. So I picked a good area, but I bought in December of 2021 when I got a job, and once I realized, okay, the job is going to be here for a while, I just used that money, bought another one, and he had a really good interest rate. His was 1,700. Mine, I still had a good interest rate. Ended up being a year later, my payment was 24.
24.
So
and your house was around the same price, right? Wasn't it?
Nah, we bought it at 405.
Oh, so your house was a lot more expensive.
A lot more expensive, but the reason we bought it was 13,000 square feet in a really good area. So right behind us is also a canal. That's one thing about
Stockton too, is a lot of those houses have huge lots.
Yeah.
Like ours had a huge, that was a big draw for us too. Mm-hmm. Like the owner before us, lot was so big, he had a literal chicken coop back there. He had like 20 chickens and like, the whole nine.
Dude would be cash flowing with eggs right now, man. That's a whole different business. Yeah, man. But so that was just a year later. That's how crazy real estate is. And at the same time, when I'm now about to purchase, Mike and Luke are just had sold theirs. So when they sold theirs, how much did you end up netting?
On the sale, we netted like, I want to say it was like 82,000. 82,000, not including what we made from the Airbnb. We also did have a lot of move out expenses, which I won't get into too much, but we had over the last year of renting it out, Airbnb slowed down significantly because the house had been broken into 4 times. Mm-hmm. And right before we sold, there were actually squatters inside the property for a long time. And like I said, I don't know how much time we have, but there was so many different. There was an experience that was so bad there that we had squatters there. I went in to go into the house. They had changed the locks, and the neighbor called the police on me for trying to break into my own house. Like, it was crazy. Like, the laws for squatters in California, like, it's terrible. Like,
absolutely.
They get in there, they say that they have they put a bill in their name, and like the house is theirs basically. Yeah. Like, it was so hard. Like, police were called multiple times. Police didn't do anything. I actually had to call one of my friends. His name's Justin. Like, shout out to Justin. Yeah, he
white boy.
he had his dad and his dad's crazy friend.
Yeah.
went in there with, and removed him basically. Like, the squatters in there came.
He from Stockton, by the way.
Squatters had a machete, like, we're going crazy trying to, but yeah, Justin's pops got it done. Yeah. Got him out of there, and then like I had to wait for them to get the squatters out to sell the house, obviously. So like we lost a ton of money doing that. I had to pay so much money for like cleaning at that time. Like it was roach infested with those squatters, because they were like homeless people, roach infested. A bunch of other stuff.
So because you netted 80,000, which is still crazy in 1 year, guys. 1 year of owning real estate in California, 80,000. Obviously, that was like COVID, so prices went up, right? Yeah. That's not an every year thing, please. That's coming from a realtor.
So like a year and a half, but
But even with the 80,000 and all those expenses, do you think maybe you still cash flowed 60? 50?
No. We came out really good at the end of it. At the end, I would say the money that we made in the 2 years doing, or like I said, it was maybe like a year and a half, or maybe a little bit over that total. The money that we made from the Airbnb probably took care of like all of those move out expenses. You know what I mean? So like what we netted from the house is what we really netted. Yeah. So which is cool because we ended up splitting that. So yeah, we came out really good. Like it was a amazing investment.
Yeah, I always think about it all the time because I'm like, fuck, I should have invested. I should have just risked.
But you still have the house though. Like you still I still have the house that you can hold. Like I like buying and holding is like I feel like is I would love to still have properties like that. So I mean it still worked out.
Also though, like I've again much respect to Mike because I've learned a lot of the mistakes. Like before I pulled the trigger on that Stockton house, I went to Mike almost every day and was like, all right, what did you learn? What's up with these squatters? How do I avoid them? How much were you cash flowing? Just so I know that the numbers could even make sense and work. And one of the things that I kind of saw that Mike didn't, one of the questions I asked was like, yo, did you have cameras? And he was like, nah. I was like, cool. Yeah, cameras all around the house.
Well, after the first break-in, we got a security
system. Yes, but you were like...
Before that, probably should have had... Especially considering the area that I was in, like, it was something that we definitely intended to do. It just kind of got like...
For sure. And so that was literally the first thing I went and got. I got cameras all around. I got every angle because, like, again, my lot is so big. The camera doesn't even go that far to the back. And behind there is like a sneaky road where a lot of people fish and do weird stuff, right? And I have a fence there, and a lot of people try to break in the fence right there. And so, like, it's a huge lot. And I was like, I am not missing this out. And then another thing I kind of learned, I don't think you ever had really huge problems with guests, right?
Guests,
like staying, like trying to squat or anything.
I had a few problems here and there with guests, but with squatting there, no.
Okay.
But honestly, I don't know because I don't know who. I still don't know who
were the squatters.
Yeah.
No, all good. So the reason I brought that up is because there's just more things I kind of learned from his mistakes. Was my process before even accepting a guest on Airbnb is completely different. I don't just accept. I have to accept, just like a hotel check-in. I need your driver's license. And then I also learned this from Turo that I need a photo of you holding the driver's license to your face because what I experienced previous to that was that people on Airbnb, they might have a felony or they might be banned from Airbnb, but they'll use someone else's account. Or someone's phone might be stolen and that person go into Airbnb and book something on their behalf. And that literally happened. And so
it's crazy what people do.
Man, it happened with the cars. So I kind of learned everything all the terrible stuff I've had on Turo, I've taken to Airbnb and just been more due diligent. And I've still had problems, but they're not as bad.
Definitely. I think it's a good segue. Like, what I focus on a lot now is like mentorship and like coaching with like Turo, Airbnb, because like they're great businesses, but like if you hop into it like by yourself without knowing, like you're gonna make a bunch of mistakes that like we did. Like it's like you can save yourself so much money by like learning from somebody who's already done it.
For sure.
Like I think it's like,
and read this guy's book on Turo because it's really good. But speaking of like mentorship though, and kind of just let's segue into this last entrepreneur kind of endeavor that you're in currently right now.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's talk about what are you doing right now with your cars?
Yeah. So right now with my cars, I still am on Turo. I'm still on Turo. Still love Turo, still a big proponent for the company. I'm still the face of Turo, all that stuff. But we did launch our own car sharing app. We launched about a week ago. It's called Upcar AI, and like I'm super excited about it. So with Upcar, right now Turo is pretty much the only real car sharing platform that people have to. That's out there. Well, we're not trying to necessarily position ourselves with Turo. We're trying to position ourselves with the rental car market as a whole. Car sharing only represents 3% of the rental car market. So we're not trying to position ourselves with that 3%. We're trying to position ourselves with the 97%.
Wait, who's the 97? Like Enterprise
Hertz, Avis, all that. Yeah.
Damn.
Exactly. So what we're trying to do with Upcar AI is we're trying to provide an alternative. So that way, people don't have to just rely on what's out there. We're just trying to be another rental platform that people can go to. So right now we're only in the Bay Area. One of the big things about us is that we do in-house delivery. So unlike with other companies like for example like other car sharing companies like Turo, if you do put your car on the platform, you don't have to worry about delivering that car. We have an in-house team that will deliver the car. Right now we're only in the Bay Area that will deliver the car.
Do you guys have like a mile distance? Like, will you deliver to SAC today?
Right. So we're only delivering like within
the Bay.
50-mile radius right now.
Okay.
But we're doing a lot of cool things since we're brand new. Like right now, if you rent we're giving away a free 2018.
Look at the camera. Tell them. Let
right now with Upcar AI, we're giving away a free 2018 BMW for the first 1,000 renters. And the more you rent, the more times you're entered in it. So like, I would love for somebody that I know to win it. So make sure you guys rent. Right now, there's no platform fee on there. So like when you see a car that's $40 on the platform, it's not gonna be $150 by the time you finish booking. There's no platform fees at all. The only thing that you pay for additionally is insurance, which is optional, but I think everybody should get the insurance. It's, it makes a lot more sense, gives you a lot more peace of mind. So yeah, there's a lot of cool things we're doing since we're brand new. So we're definitely trying to get more users. In our first week, we've crossed 100 users. We did that pretty quickly, and that's all awesome. Organic. We're not running any ads or anything right now. So
how did you get involved in Upcar?
So I got involved last year when it was just an idea. The owner's name's Ravi. He actually he worked at Meta for 10 years, and he was dabbled as a Turo host for a little bit, and he realized there was no other real alternatives. And for people who don't know, the biggest competitors in the car sharing market were Get Around and Hire Car. They just went out of business in the US in March. So there's really no big players. So he just saw a lot of he saw the potential and how much people loved car sharing, but he saw that there was no real alternatives. So he wanted to build a better car sharing platform. He's a brilliant developer, so he developed the app himself. He put a lot of work into it. So to get back to your question, when it was just an idea, he reached out to me. I mean, he saw my face all over on Turo, and then he was able to find me on LinkedIn. Actually, is where he reached out to me.
Crazy.
He reached out to me on LinkedIn. We got coffee. We talked about Upcar. He told me about his ideas, and if I could pretty much help him build it. And that was a year ago, and now we're fully launched and working together to bring a great car sharing platform to right now the Bay Area, and then we will expand everywhere soon.
And kind of what's your exact role in the company?
So right now I'm working a lot with business development and marketing, and also as an advisor. Because I've been in the car sharing. There's not really much people that know car sharing more than I do. I'm sure there's people out there but there's I'm an expert in the space, and I'm providing advisor and doing a lot with the business development and marketing. I was just at a event for Upcar this morning before I did this podcast.
Yes, and you're about to head back.
Handing out flyers and meeting with just meeting with new people, telling people about the product. So that's
for sure.
Definitely.
And let's talk about the insurance on Upcar and maybe how it kind of differs from other, if it differs from other platforms. What does the insurance and how does Upcar protect its host?
We have so we protect hosts up to $1 million in total damage. Of that $1 million, it is $250,000 that will protect the car itself. So basically, if you want to put a car onto a Upcar platform, it should be worth under $250,000 because that's what we covered.
Gotcha.
The rest of the $1 million is from personal
medical
injury, and that stuff. So we're fully covered in any instant that happens on the platform. Theft,
do
collision.
Hosts pay for that up front?
So hosts pay for that as part of the percentage that we would take from them. So we take so we take a platform fee from the hosts in order to provide that insurance coverage.
What's the percentage typically on that? Do they have tiered like Turo as well, or what?
Right now we just have one standard option for the hosts. So we're so right now we're taking 15% from the host.
Okay, so 85 to host and then 15 to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. That's not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not bad at all. Do you guys cover, here's a big thing because it just happened a week ago. Do you guys cover exterior wear and tear?
Right now, yes, we do.
The reason I say that is because Turo, as a week ago, just decided to drop it from the 60-40 plan that they have on the 75 25 plan. It's now like there's no exterior wear and tear as well.
Yeah,
but they cover like if you need to rent out a car, if there's cars in the shop, you need to rent out a car, they'll reimburse you up to a certain amount type of things.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not a lot. It's like $15.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're making a bunch of change. They have been making a bunch of changes over the course of a lot of years. But you know, once you start to scale at that point, they're trying to cut. They're focused on profitability to where at the beginning they were like us. They were focusing on market share and getting users, and now that they're focusing on trying to IPO and they're focused on profitability, which means that, you know, they're sacrificing the product in ways in a lot of other aspects that we enjoyed, but yeah.
And what's your kind of market strategy for the next year? Let's just say.
So right now we're definitely trying to gain a lot of market share. So, you know, that's why we're, you know, able to do a lot of things to where, you know, we're offering a free vehicle, we're offering like low platform fees, we're offering discounts, a lot of things like that to try to gain market share. And we're gonna be like that, for a long time. Like, you know, for this first year, trying to get users. But, you know, with Upcar, we like our vision is to always be host friendly. You know, even once we are at a large scale, we don't want to ever sacrifice our product once we do scale. Like, obviously, you know, we're going to get to a point where we are going to have to focus a lot on profitability and things like that, but we're not going to sacrifice our relationship with the hosts when we do get to that point, or with the guests. But you know, the hosts build the platform. You know, it's the host cars. You know, just Turo doesn't own a single car. Yeah, their money is made by hosts who are willingly putting their assets on the platform. Yeah, so we always want to do right by those hosts. You know, for the duration of us being a company, and that's the vision.
Bro, just to just to even think back, like back in 2017, 2018, when we were on Turo and like one of the only on Turo. Yeah. Like my 2012 Ford Mustang ended up getting totaled. You had a couple cars totaled. We would get paid more than the market value if we needed to from Turo. And now I'm sitting here arguing with Turo over $150 smoking fee, because it's hard to prove someone smoked in your car if they didn't leave ashes. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, Turo is not there to come check on that. Right. And so I think that is where kind of like the distrust and the like irritation comes from with host and Turo nowadays, is that it's just really all about guests, because they're at a point in their business where it's focused on profitability and also focused on just bringing more guests. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, definitely. It's like I said, it's all about the, you know, they're scaled at such a massive point now that that $150 that used to not be a lot is a lot now, because there's so many users, so they can't just can't just easily give every host that $150 charge, like, you know what I mean, because that amounts to millions of dollars for them. So they're being very specific, very particular about little things now that they didn't used to be, and just because of where they are. So
one question, and almost kind of advice, I don't know, is one of the things I don't like about Turo is that their customer service is outsourced to a different country. And so how does Upcar AI plan to do their customer service? Obviously, I know we're in business. It comes down to cost. It's way cheaper to go to a certain country than to hire within. But then when you start to get to a certain point, you kind of need someone who kind of understands.
Yeah, I can tell you that our customer service right now is only US based.
Okay.
And that's the plan for the long term for the company, is to keep customer service in the US.
That's really good. And I think that is what's going to set you guys apart, is literally customer service and fees, really.
Absolutely. Fees. Little things, simple things, but those go a long way with users, you know, and with hosts. So we know that, and we definitely want to focus on keeping the integrity of those things, like, within the business, for sure.
Very true. Very true. Well, man, anything else about Upcar you got to share?
Man, I just think it's a really, really exciting time to be a part of a startup company like Upcar, because I mean, it's going to be really big. So I think that I definitely would just recommend people to use it. To download Upcar.ai, become a user, become a host, and start to use it right away, because you're hearing about it now for the first time. It's one of those things that you're going to hear about all the time, like, you know, within the next 5 years, it's going to get really big. So
for sure,
I definitely would just start using it. And take advantage of the low cost right now. Of the low price. It's the summertime. A lot of people need to rent cars, and we're offering cars at really low prices right now, and definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. You know how I like to wrap it up is with a segment called Guided Conclusions, where I ask a random question to the guest. And honestly, I didn't really think of a random question, so I'm really just going to freestyle it right now. But one is, would you rather not be able to hear for the rest of your life, or would you rather not be able to talk for the rest of your life?
For sure. I would rather not be able to talk, for sure.
And why is that? I'm glad you said that. But why is that?
I just think you get a lot farther in life by listening. And I think that there's so many, and I think that the most important communication that we do is nonverbal.
I can see that. Body language, you can still write.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't hear, you can't hear. Yeah. You can still see. But I think listening, like being a fly on the wall,
definitely
can take you further in life than being able to talk.
Definitely. I think the most important thing in this world is love, and I think that you can show love a lot better than you can speak love.
For sure.
So
that was a mic drop.
I would definitely.
We're not dropping mics. So don't worry.
So I would definitely choose being able to hear than talking. Yeah.
For sure. All right. Well, that was good. I really appreciate that. Is there anything you might want to say that we may have left out?
Man, I just appreciate definitely appreciate you giving me a platform just to kind of talk about my journey. Yeah. And there's so many people like that. Like, I couldn't even be on this journey without, like, you know, my wife supports me all the time. You know, she's like, oh, you know how it is to be an entrepreneur and how important it is to have a partner. So like,
you have to have a partner that supports you.
Exactly.
It's hard.
Without my wife, I wouldn't be able to be as successful as I am, for sure. My mom, my sisters, you know, my brothers, you, Romeo, of course, Alex, Luke, like all of our brothers. Like, you feel me? Like, and just like being able to be here in this moment. And like another thing, like you touched on, like, you know, about like that I couldn't help but think about is like, you know, when we like building like when I bought that first house, like so much of actually putting into like getting that place ready, like my father-in-law helped me with so much of that, and he's not here anymore. So like shout out to Russ, of course. Like, man, like he 55-year-old man was sitting there in the back trimming weeds, like, man, until his back went out.
And hella excited about it. That was the thing about Russ, is like, dude he just loved helping Mike. Yeah. Like, and just helping. Like,
man. Father's Day was last week, so I couldn't not think about him. But
for sure.
I just love this podcast. Love that we started together, bro. And like every time I see you post about it, I'm just so grateful that you kept with it, and, you know, so you stayed with it. Like,
and this shit don't make money, so it's just really therapy and connections. You feel me? So it's really cool. I appreciate it.
Definitely, man.
Let everyone know where they can follow you.
You can follow me at Mikey Johnson. That's Mikey with 2 I's, MIIKEY Johnson, on Instagram, and definitely.
Well, you heard it here. This is the Misguided Podcast. We intend to guide you to a better future. Again, my name is Jawan, sitting here with Michael Johnson. I know there's a lot of Michael Johnsons, but there's only one Michael Johnson that is really good at Turo. So make sure you guys follow him, and we'll see you on the other side. Thank you.
For sure.